Let me check on my YouTube, see how we sounding. Bloom, 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 bloom.
Share
Live.
screen.
Scheduled, upcoming. Let me check on my YouTube, see how we sounding. Oh, we sounding dope. Alrighty. Alrighty, boys and girls. This is Kid Yo HQ and Mr. Composition for the Science Fair.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. Welcome back to the Science Fair, you guys, the podcast where we talk about everything science, manga, anime, video games. What else? What else do we cover? Books,
Everything
movies.
technology can have its hands on. We
Yeah.
got our hands on it too.
Yep. Yes,
Oh, you
indeed.
know
You want
what?
to
Let
go?
me share this live on my community post.
Okay.
Let's see. Y'all just tuning in. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Come join us. Post. Boom. Technology is dope.
Yeah.
Technology is dope.
Indeed. Yes,
Oh man. So
indeed.
what tech stuff you been marinating on this week?
Man. Okay, I got my list over here. But what have I been doing myself personally? Stuff I've been playing around with. I've been listening to a lot of podcasts, news. I've been getting into that just because of all the craziness with everything that's going on. And then because I started playing around with stocks more, so I'm looking into some more interesting companies. The most interesting companies that I'm looking into right now have to do with energy and like batteries and stuff like that, like off-grid energy. I find that those kind of companies are pretty interesting to me because I feel like we're going to need that pretty soon in different ways. Last night I was thinking about, I was like, I don't know why every city isn't forced to have backup energy. I know
Yeah.
it'd be hard to have enough energy to last you more than 5 hours, but that seems like enough. You can, maybe you only do certain neighborhoods, or maybe it's not everything. I feel like that would be something that might go down in the future pretty soon. So anyway, I was looking at that. Ebooks. I've been listening to some more Audible. There's this one series called the Galena series about this. It's like a little bit in the future, and it's about like this new planet that they find through this wormhole that they're able to build a connection through. So they travel over to it. Turns out like the planet's alive, and there's this alien living in the planet that is trying to kill this other alien that they found on Earth a long time ago. And this guy has the superpower to like jump through time and talk to aliens and live forever.
Oh, jeez.
So that one was fun. It's called the Galena series. That's the only thing I can really think of that I've been trying to get up to. I haven't watched that many animes this week, funnily enough. I haven't really been getting on the animes lately these last couple weeks. And then Hogwarts Legacy, I've been playing that.
Okay, that's interesting. I mean, I the battery thing is fascinating. That's something that we were talking about before, and it's funny because I think that you're right. Like, I think everyone needs a backup generator, and honestly, it should be something. I know they're trying to push like solar panels and things like that, but I think that if it was like half the year, we're using that off the grid energy, and another half of the year we're using like grid energy, basically. Even doing something like that to ease people into it, because honestly I think most people don't care, just power my shit.
Yeah.
Like, it's but the thing is getting people to buy into it. But if it was vouchered, and you could start off with people who just want to opt in, because not everyone will, but there will be a good number of people that opt in to at least give you a test drive on like the results of it. And I think that doing that would be very, very dope. So no, that's definitely dope. For me, I watched the Gayu Chikuta. I can't even pronounce it. It's the one about the power system with trash. And
Oh yeah, you were saying that.
yeah, that one. So I'm caught up as far as on that one. That one's dope. Um, I was looking at. It's funny. I was looking at. They was talking about movie characters who got like disrespectful off like screen deaths in movies, and there was definitely some on there where it's just all like, yeah, that was disrespectful. Like Will Smith in the Independence Day, his whole
Oh,
in the sequel, they write him off as just dying like a bitch, basically. So it's just all like, and sometimes they do it because they have issues with the actors, but that wasn't an issue with him. They said that it was a schedule conflict. It was either that or Suicide Squad, and so of course he went Suicide Squad. And I was thinking about that because in storytelling, especially when you want to continue something on, I'm seeing this constant where beloved characters, when it comes to continuing the story, just go out so effed up, especially when it comes to live action stuff. I would say well, it's hard with anime because as far as things that are a continuation in the demographic that most animes are built to, because the only continuation I can think of would be like Naruto and Boruto, and when I look at and think about stuff that's going on in Boruto, it's not really that many deaths, so as far as them doing a disrespectful, off-screen type of death, usually that happens within the main timeline of whatever the heck is going on. I guess something else that may be, no, there's really not too many. There's not too many continuation type of things like movies where there's 1 through 3, or storylines of things. Because even in the live action, that's what a big issue was when it came to Last of Us, the TV show and the video game. You have the first one, then you get to the second one. Beloved major character bites the dust, and a way that's just all like, what, So yeah, no, that's kind of like what I've been looking at as far as just in things of studying and storytelling and things like that. That's pretty much what I've been up to this week, is just going in on stuff like that.
No, yeah, that's cool. See, that reminds me too, because we were talking, I've been doing some AI writing, and that's something I came across with that. I think it's fascinating the way you do pacing, because I think, with Naruto, maybe they were going for like a Dragon Ball Z type thing, where you got Dragon Ball, because I'm like, I feel like they didn't move super fast, but I'm like, they did kind of skip to him being an adult pretty quick. It's not like,
yeah,
if they wanted to, like One Piece, he could have been, they could have kept that going for years and years and years if they wanted to at that age. Same thing with Dragon Ball. It's like, technically they didn't have to go to, Goku as an adult. And really that's like a kind of a big risk, I would think. It's like, you don't know if people are going to want to watch the next version. You have something that is a smash hit. With Dragon Ball, I think it actually worked a little bit better, but Boruto is really popular too. So I don't know if it's as iconic as Naruto.
It's definitely not.
Yeah, because Dragon Ball Z is either as iconic as Dragon Ball, or maybe, I'm sure some old heads will be like, heck no, but it might even be slightly more iconic than Dragon Ball. But
I think what it did, because like as you were talking about it, I'm just all like, them skipping to adulthood was very, very interesting, but in a way to where I think in hindsight he knew longevity, but I think maybe it was also a metaphor from where he was at in life. Because if you think about Dragon Ball, it really set the stage for everything else that goes on in Dragon Ball Z. It drops little sprinkles, everything from Red Ribbon Army, everything from demons, everything from aliens, everything for like it set the stage for a lot. Even just the fact of Goku being this Saiyan all through Dragon Ball, and then the first arc that we get in the Dragon Ball Z is boom, his Saiyan brother coming down, and then but also him getting married, him having a child, him acquiescing to regular kind of like life, but also being this powerful person to where his bloodline comes in and starts the whole domino effect of what else is going on in this galactic aspect of things, all the way to the point that we get to the whatchamacallit tournament where we're dealing with multi-dimensional aspects and everything like that, and it's just all like, oh shit, like to go from introducing Saiyans by way of his brother to introducing multiversal Saiyans and all of that, like
and they didn't stop with Dragon Ball because they've had a couple additional arcs as well.
Especially in the manga. The manga is great. You got Black Frieza, you got new form, you got Ultra Ego Vegeta, you got a new form as far as where go. They're still doing some the whole like granola arc and there's some stuff that when it gets animated, it's about to be they're cooking.
What is it's Daima, the one that they're doing, the one that they just did, right?
Yeah.
Dragon Ball Daima. Yeah, it's interesting. I like how they move around pretty quick. I think that's pretty necessary because it's like, follow the energy of like where the creative energy comes from. Because I was working on some stories like that. Now it was kind of funny because I was like, one thing I was planning on dragging out, which was like the main conflict, the rift in the world in the story. Basically, I was planning on dragging that out, and then I was like, in this like the next story that I wrote with AI's help, by the way, I wrote though, because I did write it out. I wrote exactly like what happens in the arc, but they had already solved it, and I was like, well, all right, I'm about to move on. The only thing that I'm being cautious with is I'm not going to age them too fast. I think sometimes you slow characters down in certain types of development, like, they or won't they for 7 years?
Yeah,
kind of ridiculous. They probably should have got married and then just learned how to write married characters. It's not that hard.
You know what has good pacing and that I go back to a lot? Avatar: Last Airbender. Everything from start to finish. It's only 4 books, 3 or 4 books or something like that. The anime, the pacing, masterful, and we got a great payoff at the end. Like amazing. There was enough room for character growth, and we're dealing with a decent sized cast, but it was very contained. All the pieces, everything went smoothly. Another one that I would think of, like as you was explaining that, funnily enough, Jackie Chan Adventures, the animated TV show, because I recently went through and was looking at different arcs, and I was just like, damn, this really did have a legit like.
I don't remember how that progressed.
No, it progressed pretty decently. It had you had the whole thing with the talismans, and then like the next season is something else, bigger, and then bring it back to the old villains. Like the pace is actually pretty dank. We're looking at the storyline. I randomly do that on YouTube. I would be looking up random ass freaking storylines for shit. And I'm like, damn, even I went through Yu-Gi-Oh! Like all the seasons. I was just all like, damn, I didn't even know it even went to all this shit. Like I'm like, damn,
the trip.
Yeah, no, it's crazy.
Like Jackie Chan with the cartoon. It's so easy to forget. and how perfect that was too. Because it was like the funny thing about his movies was like they came out. I think Rumble in the Bronx probably came out like 84 or something like that. I
Yeah,
want to
he
say,
had
or
the
like
80s and 90s on lock.
yeah, exactly. To where I was like growing up with a complete, he had just freshly to me completed like a catalog, and then it went into Rush Hour,
Hmm.
and then I got in the perfect age for me anyway. Rush Hour 1, 2, and 3. Those were great the way those played out. I mean, 3, I was probably not that much older. I think 3 probably came out when I was like 15 or something. Like I don't even remember, but yeah, and then for him to have the cartoon at the same time. I think the cartoon was before
It was like early
or sometime
2000s.
during the rush hours. I don't remember. It was like
Yeah,
mixed
it
in.
was
Yeah,
definitely in between because he
yeah.
was getting that American audience more and more. Like he
Hmm.
definitely had it with his earlier movies, but I think that was a big crossover for him. I don't think
Yeah,
it was
yeah.
the first as far as like that. It might have been though. It might have been though. And I think it was
Hmm.
just a perfect collaboration for his style because he's known for being comedic,
Yeah.
but he is serious. He does his own stunts, different things like that. So I think
Hmm.
that showcased something really, it just hit. It was just all like you got Chris Tucker,
Mm.
and Jackie Chan,
Oh, yeah,
and
yeah,
then
yeah.
they played on the different tropes as far as the different, racial stereotypes and different
Oh,
things
yeah.
like that. And it came out at such a perfect time. It's just all like,
Oh,
yo,
yeah.
I think about movies from that time period, and I'm just all like, it was a whole different vibe, like it was.
Hmm. Man, I watched every Jackie Chan movie, and this was renting VHSs, ladies and gentlemen. This was a different type of watch when I was watching that. He had what did he had? He had one movie called like an old one called like I started getting into the old ones, like the ones that were like in Chinese a little bit.
Oh
I think I
yeah,
watched as many of those as I could find, but then he had Project Some, but he had like a few really good, like American ones. First Strike, Rumble in the Bronx. What were the other? Oh man. No, yeah, Jackie Chan's
handsome
career.
babies.
That was a fun era, man. And then when he finally did, because it was like it was Jackie Chan and Jet Li,
Yeah,
obviously for a little while,
yeah.
and then when they finally did that movie together, I was like,
Yeah, and that was
yo,
all the fans was just all like, no effing way, like,
yeah.
and
It's like,
they
why
did
did this
it
even take so long? Actually,
right, right.
because
But
they could have done it like a good 10 years earlier, but
I think it was like it was definitely timing. I think that it
yeah,
was almost like an ace in the card in their career because at that
yeah,
point they were definitely in their older years. Not
yeah, yeah,
saying
yeah.
that if they wanted to, but it made sense. It made sense in the characters in the movie, and it made sense as
Yeah,
far as like in their real life. It was just like, yo,
yeah,
at any point we could pull this mother freaking ace card out and it's
yeah,
gonna be a banger. And they picked the perfect story to be able to do. Like it was
yeah,
really dope.
yeah. Because I had a bunch of Korean friends, so we were talking to Jet Li for a while, and they were all going Jet Li at a certain time. I was just like, y'all are traitors. I was like, you
Because
switching
they
up
keep
that
on
fast?
they because they I think they think that he's just comedy, it's not real life. But when you look at the old shit
Mhm.
like Drunken Master and different, Jackie Chan has hands
Yeah,
and
yeah, yeah.
feet. Like
Oh,
Jackie
Drunken
Chan will
Master. I don't know
mess
how I
some
didn't say that.
people up. Like,
Yeah,
yo, Drunken Master is my shit because it's just so
yeah.
funny.
That
It's
was one
just
of the
like
best ones, honestly. That was one of the best ones. He did that. He played that so perfectly. I don't even know if anyone else could really get there because he had such a good blend of that funny kind of style, but then like the seriousness when he would get serious, be like, oh, I'm
yeah.
taking it serious too. Like you done besmirch Jackie's honor. He's about to do something. Or
Right?
pissing Jackie off.
People forget. And the thing was, it was just like
He's gonna
at the
be humble
same
with it too.
time, you had young bloods like Donnie Yen. Like
Mm.
when you
Oh
look
yeah,
at
yeah.
some of those old movies, like from Jet Li, like Tai Chi
It took
Master.
me a while to pay attention to him. Took
Oh
me a
yeah,
minute.
because they had to have certain breakouts. Because even
Yeah.
I think there was a movie where he was the villain against Jackie Chan. It was either Jackie Chan or
Mm.
Jet Li. but Donnie Yen was like the villain type of, thing.
Yeah.
And when you look back at those, it's just all like, Dave. But then he got his breakout as It Man, and it was game
Yeah.
over. But the thing was, he
Even
had
It Man took me a
Fakers
second.
prior. He had
Yeah.
Fakers prior, but
It takes that's why you have to be humble no matter what kind of career you're in, because it's like you and when I look at actors, I feel like that even more, because I'm just like, actors seems like one of the most humbling things, because even if you blow up, which first of all it can be when you're 50,
yeah.
but even if you do blow up, we might not want to see the next 3 movies. It might just happen like that. You might be doing, and the thing about an actor is you can't just say, "Oh, okay, I'm at this level. I'm only going to be at this level for the rest of my career."
No,
We might
I
need you to
mean,
do a Christmas flick in
right,
in another 2 years. If you want to keep it going, you can't.
right.
That's why I think
You,
so many of them do like the act like plays and stuff like that to keep it going.
yeah.
It's just like, yo, you want to be serious, but it's like sometimes some of these actor roles, like, yo, you got to do what you got to do, and it's hit or miss, and then it's not even all on you. It's not like you can just be like, oh, let me just drop a little solo tape real quick of some acting. Let me just put out a little acting,
But I think that's why
reel.
people like Nicolas Cage is actually very, very interesting. Have you ever just sat up there and looked at Nicolas Cage's filmography? He's in everything, whether it is a B-rated fucking like random ass shit, and it's like those actors are very inspirational because they love acting. They don't give a fuck. They're gonna
Right.
get on anything just to be like, yo, I'm in that joint. And he doesn't lose enthusiasm. That's what I like as well, because some people, they're just all like, I gotta get this, but it's just all like, no, he's very
he has fun with it.
Yeah.
He has fun with it. Almost by being, I don't know, he's just always himself to a certain degree. So I think that makes it fun for him to be like, okay, what if I was in this situation? I've been noticing that more from like Keanu lately. I'm like, okay, he seems to really be enjoying a variety of really great roles. He's had really great roles for a very long time. Obviously, I mean, he's probably, he has to be in the top 5 actors or whatever. All right, let's see. Maybe we can get into some other stuff. Even though we were on a roll, I don't know if I should switch it up. I don't think I
think it definitely ties in, at least for one of the articles that I got.
Okay, let's go into that one.
Let's see. So this is from Financial Times, and this is talent, luck, or hard work, which matters most in creative life. And so it says, so basically they go into this whole thing as far as with their father. I'll just read some of it, but basically my father began to say to me a long time ago and continue to say now, a comforting aphorism, something I'm sure he read as a quote someplace or in a biography. They will say of you, her life was not the least of her art. Her life was not the least of her art. I can't remember when he first said this or what action of mine would have compelled it, but it's offered to affirm the way I've lived over the last decade or so when I'm despairing of it, a life which has been so similar to his in some ways and completely divergent in others. He too is a writer, and we both have had our other jobs we didn't care much about until our late 20s when we had the chance to become more fully dedicated to what we make and do. Temporarily, though, we're different, or temperamentally, though, we're different. He remained in our hometown in Ireland and values highly the rewards of routine and unyielding structure. I've spent much of my adult life employing a magpie-ish approach to decisions about where and how I spend my days. I've lived in a number of countries and spent months at a time in others, a way of existing which was intentionally compelled by lack of money, but which I soon found I enjoyed for its own sake. I would leave London, and when I couldn't afford rent and go someplace I had heard they may have need of a cat or house sitter, Once I had become a journalist, I would go on any press trip I got wind of, which is how I passed through the central Portugal, Norway, and Chernobyl in a single year. If I admire my father's rigor, how it suggests to me the appropriate respect and care one should direct towards creative work. He admires a certain elan in my own way of being, a taste for the novel and openness to experience which befits the artist. So, which of us is right? Is there a specific way to live as an artist, one that can be taught? And if there is a correct way, which one is possible to advocate confidently over the infinite others? Would we be willing to listen? Sally Mann, the celebrated and sometimes controversial photographer who came to international renown in the 1990s for her haunting photographs of her family, herself, the Appalachian landscape she lives in, has written a book that goes some way to elevating the question of how artists should live. Artwork on the creative life is like her first memoir, Hold Still, a confluence of writing, photograph, and fragment correspondence. It asks that it asks what one needs to lead a creative life, what mistakes we will make trying to conduct such a life, and whether we should even try to avoid those pitfalls or rather consciously accept them as a part of the whole dirty process. Um, so becoming an artist is different from, say, learning how to run a small business. In many endeavors, there are consistent principles or best practices which required to lead to the desired outcome. But for the artist, this is not true. A successful approach taken by one may be fruitless and demoralizing for another. The impossibility of standardized advice is not an incidental misfortune, but an inherent condition of the artist's life. um, Becoming an artist is taking the idea of faking it till you make it and employing it not in a cynical fashion we ordinarily understand such pantomime, but in an act which is itself creative. That is
Mm.
not possible for someone dodgily following external guidelines that could be given or accepted by anyone. So it does beg an interesting question that ties into these, actors that we're talking about, and different, you know, Jackie Chan and Nicolas Cage,
Mhm.
and looking at people who are at that level. And I
Mhm.
think that for the creative, for the artist, I think sometimes we like to romanticize what
Yeah.
the artist's experience is, based on what we've read, what we've seen, different artists that we may admire, or different things like that. But I
Mhm.
think the artist is a lot more um, in common with the 9 to 5 worker, in common with as far as the
Mhm.
workers that do the gritty, grindy, stuff. It is not this let me lounge on the couch and an idea pops up at because even when I look at someone like a Dave Chappelle, when you hear his interviews and you hear him talk about his daily habits, how he comes up with stuff, I consider him going to open mics, which may seem random, you know and him performing as a part of the work. You know, him going to a random spot to go on a basic, he goes on many adventures.
Oh
That to
yeah.
me, because if that's going to spark in the
Mhm.
way that allows for you to catch random reflections of the world that you jot down and be able to do a coherent piece like a stand-up special and it have this
Mhm.
thing to it, that
That's very
is the
interesting.
artist lifestyle. I think Dave Chappelle is one of those people that embody what it takes to one continue working, because in the time between the Dave Chappelle show ending, him going to Africa and stuff like that, to his resurgence and special as far as with Netflix, other comedians even talk about it. He was just going to open mics. He was just Dave Chappelle, the Dave Chappelle, was just going to open mics, you know, and just continuing to just perform and be in front of the audience and nurture as far as his stand-up, you know. I think he could have went as far as like the actor route, you know. I think he could have, you know, but I think he knew that comedy, being able to make these particular type of, you know, stand-up specials, I think, you know, is that. So to correlate it with the article and to correlate as far as with that, I think that artists do need that discipline and structure to be successful. You know, as far as, because what may seem like random, you know, by way of what Dave Chappelle does, by way of Nicolas Cage doing all these random ass movies and different things like that, that is the work. You know, it may not pay as much, it may not do X, Y, Z, but it keeps you. That's one way of doing it. But I think that the way that they're doing it is a way for you not to lose your mind, not to get lost in the sauce of all this other stuff, because there's a control. You know, Nicolas Cage has control over the movies that he does. Ain't no one pointed a finger, gun to his head like, "Oh, you better do this movie." I think he generally loves doing every single freaking movie that he does. Dave Chappelle doing those open mics, you know. So I think that those are the structures that's needed. And I think that artists is romanticizing this life of, I wouldn't even say leisure, you know, or this life of I don't know, it's almost like a level of laziness. You know, especially I think that there's layers of artists. There's artists that them doing that makes them millions of dollars. You know, whatever their routine, whatever their ritual is that they do, it does that. But I think that a lot of people mistake certain artists that actually are working their ass off, you know, and thinking that uh is that artist that can just lounge around, you know. And I think majority of artists that are pursuing it fall into those needing to be hardworking artists, you know. That requires a level of discipline, that requires a level of grind that I think a lot of artists don't want. They want the success and they want to be able to just quote unquote chillax, you know, which again, not many of the known artists that even have longevity operate like that, you know. So yeah, that's my first article on that. It just happened to tie with the Jackie Chan, Nicolas Cage.
Yeah, no, and I agree with all that. I think there's a lot of different things that people are usually talking about when they say it, because it's like, okay, even with like I listen to the skateboard podcast, they get into that sometimes too. They're like, okay, you know, what do we mean when we say skater even to begin with? You know, because it's just like, that's not, is it just somebody who owns a skateboard, or, you know, and then of course there's a difference between professional skater, and that's like a whole different type of thing. Um, and I think with artists it's the same thing. Like even with those three different categories, like luck, talent, and hard work. You know, it's like, first of all, luck doesn't exist at all because it's just like nothing happens by chance. Not really. It's like nobody. If nobody did anything, there wouldn't be artistic genres. There wouldn't be these things. They wouldn't have just happened over time. So somebody did it. Even if someone else was the one who did it, it's still not luck. It's just somebody else's hard work. That's not you. And then talent, I'm like, yeah, talent to me is hard work because I don't think talent really exists just because you weren't there when they were practicing. Like, like I've never seen no babies tap dancing. So
Right. The thing is,
you
like, yes, I think Black Clover does a really good job of showing as far as like, well, because then you're looking at talent and natural talent, or talent and a gift.
mm-hmm.
Now, what's interesting about the two is that you can have a gift, like you just are gifted to do something, but it still requires hard work to refine. But a lot of people who are gifted sometimes feel like where they're at is good enough, and someone who is hardworking, which I believe requires a level of talent, you know they're gonna surpass that person, and so, for example, you have Noel, who comes from royalty, so they're known for having
Mm-hmm.
a lot of magic to pull from just
Yeah,
in general, but she couldn't control her magic. But the
yeah,
hard working aspect, like Asta, that she adopted, allowed for her to be able to control that and to be able to develop and to be able to excel beyond what the natural, talent or the gifts of having a large monopool because you're royalty, you
and
know.
yeah, and then even when it comes to like the professional version of it too, I think yeah, that comes really into play too because like there are people who are the best skaters in the world,
Hmm.
right? Because they either they were good at it, some of them I think it's literally just because they did have that talent. And I think sometimes when you have a talent for something, it could be easy not to do something with it because you might not appreciate it. Someone who had to grind it out might want to put it into play more. But there's people who are the best skaters. There's people who are really good in different areas, but they might not be the most professional or successful professionally. And I think that's where it is the same thing with the artist too. It's like, okay, you're not gonna be good at art just because like beginner's luck, like first time, like luck. Like when you say luck, like that's not gonna. Even if it did happen, okay, that's not gonna be enough to build a career on, unless I mean, I
and
guess if you're super savvy, but
in that sale, say for that example, like you
yeah,
you did some piece of art, you put it online, and you got $1 million for it.
yeah, which is
That
has
has
almost never
nothing to
happened.
do with your skill set. That just
Yeah,
happens to deal with the fact that you drew something that someone with a ridiculous amount of money said, you know what, I want that, and
yeah,
but that will throw off the artist, which is why sometimes they say
hmm,
with record labels and deals and different things like that, it's
yeah,
better later on in life because you've already had issues with money.
yeah,
You've
yeah,
already had all these different things. So the likelihood, not saying it still doesn't happen, but the likelihood of you completely destroying your life is a lot lower than you being a spring chicken and being offered this from the jump, because that's going to
yeah,
skew the way you look at everything. And you're
yeah.
probably not going to work hard because you think everything you do is that $1 million piece of art.
Yeah, and that's the trick. That's the trick too. But especially when it comes to the last piece, though, I think hard work is the real category of I think what we're talking about most of the times when we're saying like I don't know just about anything really because it's like what is hard work? The ability to actually give people how do I even really phrase what hard work is? Because I think that hard work is just doing the due diligence to make sure that the situation is okay. Whether or not you're a good artist has really nothing to do with whether or not you make money. You
Yeah,
can
exactly.
pursue.
That's what people do not understand about making money. Like, you see it
Yeah,
all the time. How many quote unquote horrible artists, whether musicians, poets, painters, are buku rich and they suck. They suck. but they understand
Right.
business, or someone in their corner understands business to be able to market them for them to have that type of money. But the thing that about that type of money versus hard working money is you've developed the skill set to be able to build longevity.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know why I keep lagging. It's weird, but
I
what does
know
it look
for
like to you? Does it-
no, everything's good on my end. My screen had went into sleep mode, but I so that might have been what it was initially.
Oh, oh no. It's my. Anyway, my stream out just keeps going on and off. But it's probably good on the main thing. But anyway, yeah. I like that one. That one's good. That's real. Yeah, you gotta work hard. Of course, being a good artist is great because it just means that that's one less person you have to hire to do stuff. If you can sing really well, you don't have to hire a good singer. If you're trying to put out good
Right.
music, if you can make really good beats, you know, so it's a competitive advantage. But business is about business, and you know, it's like you have to figure out how you're going to organize your business no matter what, because it's like there's so many different ways to do it, and it's going to
Yeah.
be unique to you. And so you have to figure out how you want to do that, how you want to show up every day, how you like to get paid, how you like to spend your money, all that kind of stuff. But I like that one. Let me jump into one.
Definitely.
um yeah. Let me start with the first one that they gave me, because it's kind of related to what I was talking about earlier with the batteries. It was
Okay.
science breakthrough in I have to look it up because I don't really know anything about this, but I'll read it. Science breakthrough in sodium solid state batteries. Oh yeah, I do know about this actually. Why it's one of the best. Researchers have made a significant stride in stabilizing a key component for high performance sodium ion solid state batteries. Sodium is far more abundant and cheaper than lithium, and solid state batteries are safer than liquid ones. This breakout brings us closer to a future with more affordable, safer, potentially higher performing energy storage for electric vehicles and home use. Now, because this is just a little snippet, you know what I'm saying? I don't want the physicists coming in here saying they lied, it's not really going to work. I'm just talking about it from face value.
Yeah.
Um, I think batteries are. I'm just looking at something else right here. It says solid state sodium battery with 5,000 hour lifespan retains 91% capacity after 1,000 cycles. I just Googled it just to see. So people are pretty excited about it. This other person on LinkedIn said new hashtag sodium structure pushes solid state batteries to work in sub-zero temps.
Ooh.
A sodium breakthrough delivers thick cathodes and strong ion conductivity. I think batteries getting better is one of the most exciting things to me. We were talking about it earlier, and you know, like, what is it going to take? It's just, you know, it's like, man, our batteries are just so far from being not so far, but it's just like it's hard to store like large quantities of energy. We haven't even gotten really close. You know, it's like we definitely can't store, you know, even the entire planet's daily energy use in batteries. But I'm really excited, and that's why I hope we keep on investing in batteries. Because any breakthroughs that we can make that can, I think I'm really looking at that as one of my future main purchases. There's a few things I want to buy next up in life, and one of them, land. I would love some land. I'd love some like computers or something like that. um but definitely, I keep looking. There's this one company that they're called Battleborn. They make these batteries that people can use in RVs and off grid and stuff like that. And what's
Okay.
funny is I saw, what's his name, Steve-O had one in his RV, and there was
Oh,
another
dang.
celebrity that was using them too. I think, was it Bam? No, I don't remember, but they were using some different celebrities. But yeah, like, I just want, like, I don't even know how much I want. I want like a room that's just full of batteries, just have the solar panels on the roof. I want to have, at any given time, like 5, 6, 7 days. And they have the Tesla Power Walls too. I wouldn't go with that just because I think that's a good use for certain applications, but it's like I really want mine to be modular so I can add to it if I really want to. And then an RV too. I want to get the RV with the batteries in it, and a lot of those use what's the other acid type batteries, like the regular old batteries, but they're starting to switch those to lithium too. I just love the freedom that batteries give you. I'm just like, I think everyone should have at least a day's worth of energy on hand.
Yeah.
Why not
Yeah.
just a day's? A full power energy, which means that if you minimized a little bit, you're like, okay, just my refrigerator, just charging my laptop, maybe you go 2 weeks or something.
And I think that that's what makes the battery packs, like the mobile battery packs, really, really dope, because it lets you be able to experience a reality of portable, powerful batteries. And the more and more that we see, because I was just looking up, other things that sodium is used for, as far as like in materials, but it's used in plastics and rubbers, textiles,
Mm.
uh, paper, glass, water softeners, household cleaners, processed foods, detergents and soaps, baking soda, table salt, like so using this as a power source, especially with the fact that them using it for that, we are going to see that in cell phone batteries and laptop batteries and just everything kind of switching over. And I think that's just one aspect. I think we're going to get to a point where there's going to be the same way like the gold rush and different things like that. There's going to be a rush of material used to power batteries.
Oh yeah. One thing that really let me know that is I went to a Dollar Tree recently and they had charged battery packs for sale for emergency power. And so it was like
Hmm.
these little things, they're sealed, but I guess they're already charged. So you just buy them and then you keep them in your car. I think they said they last up to 3 years. So you just keep them on you. So if you ever need like emergency energy, you can just plug it. I thought that was kind of cool. It was like $5. I was like, nah, if it was actually $1, maybe.
Right.
But it just lets me know, as energy. And I was reading some of the other things on this sodium. People were saying, oh, this is going to take over. That's really interesting. But it lets me know that, energy is going to become more of a thing. Like you even see in sci-fi where they talk about like energy credits or something like that, like
Hmm.
that might be the currency. Like you pay somebody in electricity. It's like, oh, yo, here, let me give you 5 days. Or let me give you, I don't even know how you, electricity is so weird because there's the volts and amps. I don't know which one won, but like, here's 6,000 mAh hours or whatever. Those little
Right.
battery things on it for a cheeseburger or something like that. Like that'd be crazy. But like, okay. But it's very interesting because like, yeah, you think about all the things that we use energy for, and electricity um, is one of the best ways we know how to store energy, and get some density out of it. Obviously, because electrons are tiny AF,
Right.
but I wonder what the true density limits of that are going to be for our society. Like, will we ever be able to have enough to like run a whole car in like something this big or something like that? I don't know.
Right.
That would be really interesting. I don't know what the limits for that are. Superconductivity is getting us to some. Anyway, all right. Let's get a couple fun ones. Should we just do the video right now?
Oh
Just
yeah,
get
yeah.
into it.
I'll do this other article that I got. Um, this one is from IFL Science. Poem from 1181 CE. Cairo appears to reference a rare galactic supernova. A
Oh,
poem praising Saladin seems to reference a galactic supernova lighting up the skies for 185 days.
okay, yeah.
So, a study
That's really interesting.
looking at ancient texts may have found evidence of a galactic supernova in a poem praising Saladin, the first sultan of Egypt and Syria, written between December 1181 and May 1182. In October 1604, astronomer and mathematician Johannes Kepler spotted a new star in the sky and began tracking it. Over the course of several weeks, the star remained visible in the daytime and outshone Jupiter at night before disappearing once more. Kepler and other astronomers believed the event to be the birth of a star, but we now know that he was witnessing a type of supernova. Um, Now, in regards to like the poem, uh, looking back at history, ancient Chinese astronomers documented a mysterious guest star that appeared in 185 CE, confirmed by NASA 1,827 years later. In new work, researchers found reference to a potential supernova in a poem performed for the Sultan. I see how everything on the surface of the earth has increased in number thanks to your justice. Now even the stars in the sky have increased in numbers. A translation of the poem by the authors of the paper reads: the dyed hand used to be unadorned, but when time became adorned because of you, it put on a ring. The poem, while not known for being a precise method of communication, actually provided the team with a lot of information on the potential supernova, including its magnitude, as the poem referenced it outshining the known star Arcturus. The Arabic poem presented here yields valuable information on the transient of AD 1181-82, in particular on its nature, a stellar object dating to that particular celestial position. So that is dope. Using poetry to be able to track some stars and gangsters.
That is very fascinating. I'm sure I'm going to be thinking about that for the rest of the day because that gets me. I've been thinking a lot about time travel. Because, with the hoverboard stuff that I've been doing, I've been talking about doing some time travel and stuff like that too. And I think poetry is and writing is one interesting way that we do it. It's like we as human beings are very much a now type entity. But anyway, it's interesting to think about these poems, these other things that we do make that do travel forward in time and beyond us and stuff like that. And you can send these messages and you can send I don't know, just occurrences that happened. You can send evidence of that is otherwise lost. Send that forward in time because data. Anyway, that's very interesting. It just makes me think about time travel. That's cool. All right, let me get into another one before we get into the video. We already talked about the third season of Jujutsu Kaisen.
And One Punch Man just came out, the third season.
They said to talk about the aura rings. Those are interesting. It seems like those are very popular because they seem like they have more and more money, like the smart rings. I don't really know what people are even doing with it. I know like tracks your sleep and I guess your blood pressure or something like that. But it's interesting. I don't know if I need that in my life. I'll do another science one because those are the most interesting ones. I'm not even like checking out anime lately for some reason. But this is another science one. It says discovery of 2D silicon-free computer and a new super alloy for jet engines. Let's see why it's one of the best. This week saw an incredible material computation news. The development of the world's first 2D silicon computer using atom-thin materials. That's technically not two-dimensional, though, because atoms themselves are two-dimensional. But, all right. And they have width. Atoms literally have a width. But anyway, is a fundamental physics breakthrough, but maybe they mean something else, is a fundamental physics breakthrough that could revolutionize electronics. Separately, the forging of a new superalloy with exceptional high temperature resistance is a huge engineering feat for more efficient jet engines and power plants. Okay. I'm gonna look up the alloy. Makes sense to me. So they found a stronger, more durable metal. That's pretty dope. And
Right.
they didn't say if it was lighter or not, but if it was light, if it's light, that would also be really cool. But the 2D silicon computer, let me see what they're saying around that. They said, "Is this the end of the silicon era? Scientists unveil." This is from SciTech Daily. Scientists unveil world's first 2D. What does it say? 2D computer. I don't know what they mean by that. The conceptual illustration of based on 2D molecules displays an actual scanning electron microscope image. Okay, so I guess somehow they're saying that they're able to make superconductors, which you need to make computer processors, which are basically just things that allow you to hold bits so you can have zeros and ones. They find a way to do that without silicon, which that's cool. That's another thing going away from convention. I think stuff like that, I think, is going to be really interesting when it comes to how that's going to change manufacturing. Because I think people always think things are stuck the way they are, but it's like, yo, let things really switch up. You know what I'm saying? Like, imagine.
Oh, we got a comment.
Oh, okay.
Let's see.
Imagine
hey, Frank, Frank Walton, what's good? Isn't this graphene?
The OG Frank?
Yeah, graphene. So
let me see. They didn't say what in this one. They didn't say exactly what element it was or what molecule. I know graphene is carbon. Let me see if it says building to grow large sheets of molybdenum. The team used a metal organic vapor decomposition, a fabrication process that involves vaporizing ingredients, forcing chemical reactions to grow large sheets of molybdenum disulfide and tungsten diselenide and fabricate over 1,000 of each transistor. So it's not graphene, but it's definitely something a lot like that can be in sheets of atoms.
That's freaking interesting. Because the fact that they're doing more like things like that where people are using different material. That's why I like looking at certain houses or projects that are done with different material, like the hemp concrete or the 3D printing of houses and different things like that. Because I'm like, wait, what? He said,
you haven't even seen.
Graphene first created at Manchester University, 1 molecule thick. Dang, super strong. Dang.
Yeah.
No, that's super fire. Oh, you want to get to
let me
that?
See if I have one more before we go.
Okay. Yeah.
The video? Should we do the video? All right. Let's get into that. Let me see. I had one other science thing. It said, wetware computers powered by lab-grown human mini brains. Yeah, we can skip that one for next time. Mini brains. That's where I draw the line. Once you start doing weirdo stuff like that,
right?
I draw the whole line. The entire line gets drawn on that one. You just.
Frank Walton said it was just about to mention 3D printing. Yeah, no, 3D printing is getting to some levels that I'm like, whoa, the type of stuff people are experimenting with. I've seen people do shoes. I've seen people do concrete, prosthetic, arm, like all different types of crazy stuff. So this person tested futuristic tech in Dubai.
All right, let's check this out right here. Got some tech on it.
आज आपको कुछ बहुत ही यूनिक एंड फ्यूचरिस्टिक टेक दिखाता हूँ।
I've seen those drumsticks.
वायरलेस माउस जिसके अंदर हमें वायरलेस ईयरबड्स मिल जाते हैं, या फिर ये छोटी सी परफ्यूम जिसके
Hold
अंदर
on.
अगेन हमें
I think I
वायरलेस
missed something on
ईयरबड, ये वायरलेस माउस जिसके अंदर हमें
Oh, that's
वायरलेस
crazy.
ईयरबड्स मिल जाते
Right?
हैं, या फिर ये
It said
छोटी
you
सी
don't need two
परफ्यूम
different
जिसके अंदर
things.
अगेन हमें वायरलेस ईयरबड्स मिल जाते हैं,
Wow, they're
या
putting
फिर ये
earbuds in
रोबोट
everything.
जो कि आपके साथ चेस खेलेगा। ये सब मुझे दुबई में ऑनर के पास मिला, जहां पर ऑनर का लेटेस्ट मैजिक बुक आर्ट लैपटॉप जिसमें हमें हिडन कैमरा मिलता है, जो कि लैपटॉप में कभी भी माउंट कर
What?
सकते हैं। ऑनर
That's
के आज
Whoa.
तक के सारे फोल्डेबल फोन्स इंक्लूडिंग लेटेस्ट मैजिक V5 जिसके अंदर के सारे कंपोनेंट्स खोल के शोकेस किए हुए थे।
What
एंड
the heck?
वायरलेस ड्रम सेट देख के किसी भी टेक लवर का दिल खुश हो जाएगा। बाकी अगर वीडियो देख के आपका दिल खुश हुआ तो प्लीज यार फॉलो
Jeez.
जरूर से कर
Okay,
लेना।
we gotta do that again.
All right.
What
तो
the
आज आपको कुछ
heck?
बहुत ही
Yeah,
यूनिक एंड
yeah.
फ्यूचरिस्टिक टेक दिखाता हूँ।
I think I can mute him this time.
Yeah, so the mouse
That's crazy.
with the headphones, that's crazy.
Yeah. That's pretty cool.
And then that
I
mount,
like that. It gets into the modularness of everything. I think we need to do a lot more of that.
right?
The mount for the
That was on the computer. Yeah,
camera.
yeah, that one was crazy.
I think that was a little camera that he popped out the side.
Yeah,
I don't even know how
was
that camera. Yeah, that's crazy. It must be using Bluetooth or it's magnetic or something like that. That's crazy. Dubai's been the home of a lot of interesting stuff lately. Now I get like a bunch of calls and stuff like that from Dubai. They hit me up for a law conference or something like that. It's like the new Vegas, but like times 50.
Oh, right.
They're trying to get people to come out there for everything. But it's interesting, you know. I think when I think about these trade shows, we need to start hitting up the trade shows.
Exactly.
Actually, Science Fair is about to be its own trade show.
Right? No, for sure, because
they're ready to host one of these.
Seeing that, I know that there's several things that be going on in Vegas, and I'm just all like, oh man, we gotta get out there.
Yeah,
there's some bangers.
And we just got to keep the thing I'm realizing too is like we just gotta we have so many ideas. It's just I think this is one thing I think about too, because it's just like the same thing with the artist, where it's just like, okay, what was it? I had this whole thing thought out, but it's interesting how it's just like, okay, you can do as much art as you want, and if you have, it's just about how you're going to get funded. You know, it's like some people they get funded by being teachers, okay, and then they get to paint for the rest of their lives. Some people are like, you know, it'd be easier if I just work at McDonald's and I'll just paint on the side, you know, and then I get to paint for the rest of my life. You're still doing art. All those artists to me are equivalent. You know, it's just like depending on how much art you put out, and then what type of artists you make for different people. And then of course you can, you know, partner with galleries and get paid, you know, from certain people or whatever. But same thing with scientists too. I think scientists, it's like you can do a certain amount of your stuff, and then you also have to figure out how you want to put it out. It's like you can be a scientist and not make any money. And there's lots, I think even more than artists, I think there's a lot of scientists who make absolutely zero money off of their art, because it's like with art, you can like say, okay, I made a painting. Someone might buy that for $30. But with science, I think it's a lot harder to be like, I wrote this essay. Would you like a copy of it for 50 cents or something like that?
Right? Like
that's why with scientists,
doing those papers, you know, or different research articles, it's just like, it's not like they're monetized. It's just like, yo, I just made a cool 3K on this research article. Like, no, you gotta fucking be a part of some shit.
You gotta have a website. You basically have to have something that you get paid for traffic on it. You gotta have like a blog or like videos, you know. See a lot of
on
scientists
YouTube.
YouTubes.
Yeah. I'm seeing a lot of
scientists are doing that now. And then products. That's another way of inventing products. That's why I like us making this video, because I'm just like, we're both scientists, honestly. So this is one way to monetize science. And then like that's why I think Science Fair makes so much sense. Fair, it's like, okay, what you pay. but then also the products. Like I want to just the more and more, like I think what's cool about those Dubai and the Vegas things is just you go into a place where everyone's bringing products that they made together. You know, even when like we go to like vendor fairs and stuff like that, I think it's the same thing. But when it's science products, I think it's even way more fun. It's just like, yo, like you were working on what, my guy? Like you've been bringing that to this place for the last 10 years. You're still working on that, like robot. No matter what it is. And it's not like it's not going to be interesting to us or other people like us. Of course, it's going to be interesting. That's why it's interesting to us. Right. It's not going to be like I can't believe I'm gonna be out there with the hoverboard. I don't even have nothing with me, no hoverboard stuff, but I'm gonna be out there with the hoverboard, setting up my science fair station. I'm gonna have one for the hoverboard, one for the time machine.
Right.
That's it. Those are the only two things that I work on that are really sciencey, science related. Truthfully, I mean, maybe I'll have some other stuff, but yeah, more of that. I want to see more of that. I think we did a good one. I don't think we need to get into too many other topics. Let me look through my list and see if I have one more topic. Anime adaptation announcement for 100 Girlfriends. I don't know. Okay. I don't know what that is. That's about it that I can see. Oh, Tron, the new Tron's coming out. That looks good.
I thought it did look good. People have been destroyed it. I'm just like, I need to just watch it. I don't know what people be expecting.
People, I don't know what people want. People come out of there with the stupidest stuff. Like, I don't have any expectations from another dude's movies, and this is why you have to write your own stories. Like,
right?
I'm geeked out on my own stuff. Like, I'm super excited with the way I've been writing stories, especially with AI, like breaking stuff down. Like, yo, Sidewalk Slam is about to be one of the most gangster universes out there. I mean, oh man, I was having fun last night making different graphics, different logos for my other brands. But anyway, the only thing I really go out and see these other movies for is like, one, if they have a cool vibe. Tron definitely has a cool vibe, almost no matter what. There's nothing they're gonna do that's gonna mess up the aesthetics of what makes it cool. As far as story, people be like, "Oh, what are you trying to do? Like a modern age Pocahontas?" I don't know. I don't care. I don't.
It's like, does it look dope? Like,
yeah, it's not. I'm not. I don't have super high expectations of other people's stories like that because that's crazy. Like, I don't know what they're gonna write this time. I'll say this: the original one thing I liked in I just like Tron though. I like because I never knew what it was until the most recent one started coming out. Even though the most recent that started like 8 years ago or something like that.
Yeah.
But I liked how it was like, okay, in this other universe, there were these two different type of people, like the rule-based people and then the more free people. Because just looking at growing up with like Tron, I just thought it was some random stuff. I don't know. I never really thought about it, honestly. I was just like, oh, is that video game that I never played or whatever? But but after seeing that, I was like, oh, this is kind of a cool. I see how they're doing social commentary in here. So I mean, I don't care. They don't. It's like, what do they get? They don't have enough trans characters. What do people upset with? I'm not. Never mind. Let's not even go there.
Why does that mean the only thing that someone just gets all the way to this point and they're just like, clip this nigga, he's canceled?
I feel like that's what everyone's like pressuring movies to do nowadays. Yeah. Where I'm just like, okay, why does every movie? I know there's only like 0.1% of people who are trans. So why does every movie have a trans character? Why does every movie have like a major gay relationship?
Yeah.
But I'm sure they were saying that when black people was everything. They're like, there aren't even that many black people around here. Why do we have to put one Negro in every film?
That's why I say, like, let people make the art they make it. If you want to go see it, then go see it. I'm not going to flip out anymore because this cast is not black or this I'm just like, I would just either find if it exists or make it, like that's the best thing to do. But sitting up there causing a ruckus, like, it's a waste of energy.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. You should spend that time writing your own thing because you can go ahead whatever story you want to be out there, especially this thing. I can't Woo! Oh, we didn't even talk about Sora AI, blowing up and all that stuff.
Oh, it's still
Yeah.
doing craziness. We
Come on,
we
people.
reacted to the videos the last time. That's why I can't wait to snip
Oh
it
yeah,
down,
we did.
because
Yeah, we
it's
did.
getting crazy. Like, I'm just all like, yo, this is getting on some crazy dope levels. But I say let's put that for next week's episode, because I think that would be really, really
that'll
dope.
be that's about to be another 40-minute rant conversation right there. So I was gearing up for it. I'm sure you could see it in me. That's why you called
Right?
it right there. You could see that I was about to. Anyway, all right. Great episode. I can't even afford all the opus for this one, so we can cut it right here, and I can try to go earn some opus money so I can clip it down. Even though I'm probably gonna have to clip yours down because I know mine's janky from whatever it's saying with all my. I don't know why this one is so hard for me to record. I think what I'm realizing is the restream. I think my upload to restream. I'm already streaming, so it's like I'm streaming twice. I think.
Oh, so it's using more power.
Oh no, yeah, because so I think next time, I think what I might start doing is not streaming and just recording on my end, and then
because this is already going to be recorded.
Because you're already streaming, and I can just share your version of the stream, and then there's a little bit of a reason for us to, people to go to multiple ones and stuff. Maybe, I don't know. But that might be a better solution. But all right,
y'all. This has been Mr. Compositioning,
and I'm Kenyo. Yeah.
This has been another episode 3 of the Science Fair. Y'all just wait, man. It's gonna be bubbling up to some gangsterness.
Oh yeah, it's about to be. It's really about to be a tour and a bunch of other stuff. So I hope you guys are getting ready to get back out there. Even Gary Vee was talking about it, like that, social media is kind of declining and stuff like that. Because, I think people want to get back out there. We want to get back out there. So stay tuned.
See y'all soon. We see you. Shout out to you. See you, Frank.
Love you, Frank. My heart to yours. My heart to your heart.
Right. But y'all, make sure to check us out, daptro.com, Daptro Creations TV, and find out Kenyo. Plug your links.
Yeah, check me out, kenyo.org. That's where you can find out all the fun stuff. Yeah. See you there. I just spent 10 hours yesterday editing it, so go check it out.
Y'all go check that out. Kenyo.org. Y'all go check that out. But all right, y'all.